I said I quit YouTube, and I guess in a way I did, but in another way, it's like, nah, I did not fucking quit at all, did I? It's like I'm uploading about the same amount as I used to, but said I'm just putting no time, no time in there. Um, and I don't really give a shit because you know, YouTube sucks, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So it's like, you know, whatever. But today, right now, I need to talk about this because it's just on my brain, on my mind. Is that you know, God, we need to be doing something else, but I needed something productive, quote unquote. Anyway, I need to talk about this. Is that so this is a thing that's been bothering me. It's been bothering me for a while, right? Is that you know, if you're an artist, I consider myself an artist. I'm not a content creator. That's why I stopped doing YouTube. I don't want to be an artist. I don't want to be. I am an artist. I make art sometimes. It's cool. If you consider yourself an artist and you want, if you're suffering art block, you want inspiration, or if you want to have a consistent output with new and dynamic ideas, you know, it's just like you can't expect to get that stuff from having like looking at Twitter. I'm looking at Twitter right now. Okay, looking at okay, like you can't get it from exclusively looking at Twitter, right? Like my whole point is that you have to pay attention to your media diet. Like it's like especially for people who are like on the younger side, it's very easy to get caught up in the idea that just like scrolling through stuff will like give you inspiration, right? And it's a different kind of. It's just my point is that you can get inspiration from social media stuff, like current events or fan art or really big asses or something, right? But it's not like the same kind of inspiration you get from engaging with uh, a piece of art or a work or studying something, right? It's a very different kind of inspiration. I think the diet that most people have and they're artists, they're aspiring artists, is that they have it leans very much towards the latter, and they like say, oh, I'm gonna treat myself to a little bit of art as a just as a treat, right? And if you want to be not even a career artist, because career art is dead. I talk to all my friends about this, but basically the career artist is basically dead at this point. At least like the corporate career artist. I guess the independent one's still alive in a way, but if you want to be a I guess quote unquote talented artist, one that's skilled in whatever medium that you want to achieve, then it's like you have to engage with stuff that's deeper. And this is an issue I'm having because, I mean, I'm trying. This thing. I'm all about improvement. I'm trying to improve myself. So it's like I'm engaging with a lot of like games right now. I have a fuck ton of games in my Steam library. Of like I'm not gonna say the number. It's just embarrassing at this point. It's a lot of games. When did I buy Space Channel 5 Part 2? I don't even know at this point. Like, if I look through my Steam library, I'll just find fucking anything, right? But I have like all these masterpieces. I have like all the PlayStation Final Fantasy games, for instance. It's like I bought Signalis the other day against my better judgment because I have no self control. Steam just does something to me. I think it's an actual genuine addiction. I have to get help, but like, getting help for Steam addiction is very embarrassing compared to like a drug addiction. Um, if I did crack, it'd be less embarrassing than my Steam addiction, and I'm serious. But the gist of it is that with all these games on Steam, right? Some of it seems very overwhelming to even try. And it's like it's weird because the way I go about games is that the other day I bought Mighty Number Nine on sale, right? It was $2, and I was like, I could buy it for $2. $2 is like that's not even enough for like just a candy bar, right? And Mighty Number Nine is unique to me because I was around for the hype cycles before I was for the announcement, the fallout for everything. I was like light on my toes. I didn't buy it because I'm not gonna waste my money on Mighty Number Nine. But at this point, I'm like, Mighty Number Nine is long past. Mighty Number Nine is just it's a bootleg budget game at this point. So I might as well try it out because I just to satisfy my curiosity, right? And there's just one character in that I played through most of it. I'm missing two stages in the fucking Wily stages or whatever, right? It's a Mega Man type game, and one character called Diatron who's in there, who's one of my favorite characters I've seen recently because her design is so like unique and her smile, her purple hair. I just love her. She's great. I love robots. Robots are cool. Robot girls are great. I love Aegis. I love the girl from Ghost in the Shell. I think she's not. I don't think she's a robot. She might be partially a robot. I don't remember. There's like a bunch of different Ghosts in the Shells. I don't. I think one of them was just a regular human, and then the other ones were like androids or something. I don't remember, but the gist of it is that I played that game, right, and I was, it's like $2. So I was like, I had no expectations. I was like, okay, whatever, man. It's just and but the only thing about it is that first of all, I was curious about it, and also it's cheap, so. It's like whatever. There's nothing like, and especially because it was a Mega Man type game. I love Mega Man type games. Even the shittiest Mega Man type game, I'll give a chance because it's just like running and shooting is so fun inherently that even the worst type of one will be entertaining, right? And I'm not saying that Mighty Number Nine is high art, all right, but I'm saying that it's engaging with something that's deeper than just like scrolling on Twitter. And it's like that character, looking at that character and playing that stage and being so enamored with like the way she is giving me an idea for a character that I made, and I want to make a Mega Man type game now because I'm looking at it like I could do better than Mighty Number Nine, and this is how all of my artistic shit goes. I play like the most random game, like the entire thing that inspired like my writing for a while, not even like my writing style, but just like the idea of the passion to write is fucking Sakura Gamer because like that again, I will defend that game a little bit because I'm like you could tell like they were just hired like the people were just hired to make the game, right? But they put a little bit of like enough sauce into it, enough heart into it, like past like the anime like fan service shit where it was just like you genuinely could see the writing style come out and like and they had a lot of like references to like meta references to visual novel creation in there, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually kind of saucy. I ain't gonna lie. And honestly, I don't even care about. I think the main character is really cool, and the other characters I do not give the slightest shit about. But the main character is like a neat gamer girl type who's like in a room, probably smells horrible. I'm like, yeah, I feel that. So don't pay attention to that last part. Forget about that last part. But the whole point is that anything can inspire you. That's the gist of it. Like if you just like leave yourself open and try to engage with something on its level and come in with rational expectations on what it is, even the most random shit will inspire you, right? I think me playing like I think it's like one of those things where it's like, especially if you're like an independent kind of person, that playing like indie games or like low budget, even like games that are like imperfect, will inspire you more because you have the idea of like, wait a second, I could improve on this, I could do something with this. If you play like fucking, what's a great game, what's a really good game, if you play like Elden Ring, right? And so Elden Ring is one of those games that you can never do by yourself. It is quite literally impossible to do a game with as high fidelity as that by yourself. It is just impossible. I don't think anyone has even come close. I think Dwarf Fortress is like the closest thing in terms of like depth, I guess. But like that's a 2D ASCII based game. That's the difference, right? So if you look at Elden Ring, you could get inspired by the art design and the storytelling and like the gameplay itself, but you can't get inspired by like the creation of itself because the game is just too high. Like what's it called? The production value is just too high, even for AAA studios, that you can never make that game by yourself. It's just literally infeasible. It's impossible, right? But if you play a game like I mean there's a lot of tiers to this, right? But if you play a game like, I don't know, Momodora, right? It's like that's not a solo dev game. I think they have a team, but like basically like there's like just a couple of members, like three people, I think. I think mostly just like one person doing the art and programming, I think. Or if you play like Undertale, right? You could see like, oh, you could make that feasibly in like 2 years, right? And so I'm saying that the thing I'm saying is like, look at, if you want to make stuff, you got to look at like stuff that's on your own tier, right? But either way, you have to engage with stuff in general that's like has more depth than just like social media bullshit, basically. And I think that's a big issue because of course social media is designed to be addicting, and it's very hard to get out of the cycles. But I think there's like the whole point of just like making stuff in general is to have something more rewarding than the most mundane bullshit. And even if like a character, I get inspired by random artists OCs on Twitter all the time because I just like the way they look and they're hot, but it's not a thing that you always can depend on in terms of like, you know, your creative diets basically. Like sometimes you just gotta watch an artsy film and you gotta engage with it. Like you don't have to watch a 7 hour fucking, magnum opus type shit, but sometimes you gotta watch something that's like a little bit more like, critically acclaimed. Sometimes you gotta watch a little something that's a little bit more, more crowd pleasing or whatever. Some more like a 80s movie. Basically anything from the 80s is crowd pleasing because that's just how the film industry was back then. Like if you watch this, like watch a Steven Spielberg film, and you'll learn a lot about like crowd appeal and what the average audience likes in terms of storytelling, right? You could like you play like an RPG Maker game, and you learn a lot about like the way you could like what's it called use tile sets and the way that graphics work and the way you could just like engage an audience with minimal resources, or you play a game like, like Elden Ring or like Dark Souls, where you think of like the way a person gets immersed in a world and the way difficulty affects the way we see a game, right? So it's just a lot of those different aspects of like media, and it's like especially I always will say read books because if you want to become a writer, like you don't even have to read like the great classics all the time. That's the issue that school tries to like push is that they want you to read only the classics, only the Western classics specifically. But you should really just read what you want because if you don't read what you want, then you'll be like that's the thing is like if you want to make art or just make what you want because like I'm saying the whole point is like if you're making art for the money. Are you a fucking idiot? Like, are you fucking stupid? You're making art for the money? Dog, become a fucking like go into fucking like what gives money? Become a garbage collector, dog. You get health insurance and shit. Like become a fucking like social media manager. Get into like real estate. Go fuck a white dude. I don't know. Like go fuck an elderly white man. And then you might have some kind of money. But otherwise, you're not getting into art for the money. You're getting the art because you have that pit in your stomach. You're like, I need to make something. I need it now. And you just like, because we all have that mental illness of being an artist. If we have it, if you don't, then I guess you don't. But, there's a certain just like illness that you have that you can't recover from. That's being an artist. It is like, the gist of it is that you have to keep feeding that thing. And that's where the satisfaction comes out because you keep feeding it stuff and then you keep making stuff based on the thing you feed it. You keep shitting out art. And the thing about it is that, a lot of people who are artists will, there's nothing wrong with like watching, like meme compilations all day for a couple days, right? Or like gherkin your gherkin. But like, sometimes you just gotta like, sometimes you just gotta go and make something that's out of left field based on something you saw that's out of left field, and that's the issue I'm having right now is that I haven't been engaging myself with a lot of like storylines, and I haven't been doing it for a while, and I really need to get back into it. I wanted to read like a manga. I wanted to read a manga. I won't say the manga because people will badger me like, "Oh, you need to read that manga. It's so good." If I say it out loud because it's one that's people have said is very good, right? I won't say it publicly, and until I'm done reading it, or until I'm done with a couple chapters at least, But the gist of it is that if you're an artist, you have to engage and consume art as much as you try to make it, because especially like the college artists are just like so busy that like they just like are so busy, and people were just like who are like working are just so tired from working that they just don't feel like thinking about anything ever. And then on the weekends they're just like, I don't know, they're like, I don't know, to lay down, you need to rest. And it's like you definitely do need to rest. I say you don't. I'm saying that sometimes we need to just like engage with stuff, I guess. But if you don't want to, you don't have to, I guess. You know what I mean? You don't have to. But the gist of it is that if you want to lock in and make good stuff, then you have to get inspired by other stuff because you have to know why you're doing it and what direction you're going to go into in the first place, basically. That's just I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to play Sonic Adventure 1. I'm not saying that. But I am saying you should probably play Caro Blaster because it's by the same developers Cave Story, and more people should play Caro Blaster, and I love that game. Not because it's a depthful story, but because it's just a very fun game. It gives me joy and happiness whenever I play it. It makes me smiley. It makes me smile. Smile. That's the gist of it. It's like if you don't, if you don't look at stuff that's like artistic, then you'll only be inspired by. I have to say it this way. I have to say it this way. If you're only inspired by content sludge and slop, then you only make content sludge and slop. People only listen to like buzzwords like slop nowadays. If I talk to someone with an engaging argument and depthful details and shit, like they won't listen um until I say like some dumbass buzzword, like whatever, man. But yeah, if you're worried about making quote unquote slop, then I guess you gotta work on your stuff, study and look at cool stuff and all that, you know. I don't know, but let this not be not let's not be a let this not be a rule against, looking at monster girl ass all day. Listen, I am not the strongest among us, especially in that aspect. But I'm saying, let that random monster girl visual novel inspire you. But then genuinely try to see if the story's good of that random game. Because if you're looking at it, you might as well try and do it. You don't just skip the dialogue. It's like eating. That's like not eating your goddamn vegetables. Not eating like. I don't know why. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but yeah, I think the gist of it is that anything could have depth, you know, and even if it doesn't have depth, it has something you could analyze, if not enjoy. So, you know, engage with something that's at least trying to have some depth, rather than something that you only could take at face value, because that's what you need to keep going as an artist. Like I like this game called Battle Fantasia, right? I got it for like $2 at a GameStop, like probably like I want to say like 7 years ago at this point. It's on the Xbox 360. I rebought it on Steam for the same price somehow. And it's this obscure fighting game by Arc System Works, who made Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue, and it's basically like the first 3D fighting game, not the first 3D, like first 2D 2.5D fighting game that a lot of people played, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. It's basically historically important in terms of like the development of 2.5D fighting games, I guess. But the gist of it is that that game is obscure and no one remembers it. But it has a cool style, right? And it's very cheap on Steam. Do you notice that I like games that have a distinct style and are cheap on Steam? Since it's cheap on Steam and it's distinct style, there's something to be inspired by there, because I don't know, I have an affinity for cheaper games. All these expensive games I have, first of all, they take up a lot of hard drive space, but also they're very like, your brain just like says, oh God, one day I gotta play Resident Evil 2. One day. I'm gonna do it one day. It's gotta be perfect. Gotta be perfect. I can't play it in an imperfect way. But if you're playing like, oh man, I'm looking at like, I want to play Sonic CD. I can just play Sonic CD anytime I want to. Play Sonic CD today, tomorrow, yesterday. I'll play it again and again and again. I love Sonic CD. Sonic CD is a really good soundtrack, but I think the gameplay is just good enough to cover for the vibe. Like, Sonic CD is the type of game you vibe with. It's a vibe game. I don't want to say shit about Sonic fans because they'll eviscerate me as bad as Eminem fans. But Sonic CD is a vibe game, and I don't think people appreciate that enough. Like there's certain games that like have a dense vibe that aren't really about the gameplay. I'm looking at okay, so like there's a gauge on vibe. This is a tangent, right? But let me like think about Mega Man, right? I'm gonna have a bunch of Mega Man games in my Steam library because I love Mega Man. So like there's like a turn of vibe. Like Mega Man is weird because the game's quality is different than the game's vibe. Like Mega Man in general, like the NES Mega Mans have a okay vibe. They're pretty solid because relative to the NES, they had just have a really good aesthetic and art style distinct. Mega Man 7 does not have great vibes. I haven't tried it. I'm not really a big Mega Man 7 fan. Mega Man 8 has really intense vibes because it's like this is a personal taste thing because vibes are personal taste. But like the 32-bit graphics of Mega Man 8 very much touches my soul, you know? And Mega Man in Base has intense vibe, absolute vibe. Even though that game's terrible, fucking Mega Man in Base is an awful game, and it makes me sad to even think about playing it. But like playing the game and having the music, dun, 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 that game is great music, and you know, the playing his bass with the double jump and the 8-way shit, like you know, it doesn't do fucking all damage, but you know, it's got a vibe. You know what I mean? Like vibe is different than the quality. I think Mega Man for the NES Mega Man games probably three. Three has a big vibe. Three is big vibe. You know, especially because like 2 is pretty good vibe. I don't think two is more arcadey. It's not really a vibey game. You know what I mean? Um, Mega Man 2 has a vibe near the. I think as it goes on, it has more vibe. The Wily stages have a little bit more vibe. I don't know how to describe this. Vibe is just like a thing you feel. It's not a thing you think about. And that's why I think like, you know, you need to engage with more art. It's like you have to feel art. You can't just like think about it critically all the time or talk about it. That's the issue. It's like the social media platforms or whatever. I only spend all my time on social media platforms. So I'm basically talking to myself here. But basically if you just try to like talk about art in a way that's like, you know, like game theory all the way, which nothing wrong with game theory, but if you talk about it only in the way that like the things that happen in it, like physically, like the events, you're missing something. I think there's just something. I think I'm a very aesthetically minded person, so like something about the aesthetics of a game hits me different than like the actual gameplay of it, right? Like I say, Mighty Number 9, right? People will say that game is terrible, and I think it is terrible. And they said the aesthetic of the stages is kind of gross. It's kind of like, it's kind of like, you know, just low budget 3D game, not my kind of vibe. But the character designs, I have to say, the character designs, like every single enemy, they cooked. I'm sorry, I have to apologize because that game has pretty okay vibes, you know, in terms of character designs. The environmental design, like in the concept art, is pretty good, but like in the stages, it's like it's just mediocre. It's just like it's probably like the stage design looks about as good as like the more generic stages in Mega Man Zero, basically, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm saying vibes. You have to think about vibes. Yeah, every time I have one of these like unscripted videos, there's like a bunch of different like topics that go on at once, and I kind of muddle the points. But I think I got really at that point. But also after like vibes are very intense, very very interesting stuff. Which is like, you know, I think like there's a ton of games like Street Fighter Third Strike, or all Street Fighter 3 games. I'll always play those over any other ones. Not only because it's just like the gameplay better, and it feels it's because it's satisfying. Because you parry something, go and then you're like, holy shit. You know, even if you do it by accident, like you're like it's hype as hell, right? Like, you know, I like Street Fighter Alpha an okay amount, but I don't think you'll ever have that kind of just satisfaction. And the aesthetic qualities of Street Fighter 3 are so much like not better, like it's better, but like no other game has the same kind of like, you know, confidence is basically what I'm saying. Even though that game fucking flopped apparently in arcades, like that shit has the kind of confidence that you thought it like, for years I thought it was like super popular, just like not even like in just the fighting game sphere, but just like everybody. Like I just thought like the fact that they didn't port it was just one of those weird things that like Nintendo never made a remake of Thousand Year Door until like this year. It's like one of those like things like super, I don't know. I guess it's like I thought I didn't flop, but I thought it did better. Basically, like, you know, vibes. You have to engage with something with vibe. You know what I mean? But I can't. I'm not an objective meter on vibe because I'm not like the Bethesda vibe fan. You know, I think playing Skyrim only has like a little bit of vibe. Playing, It's just like I just not a fan. I realize I'm not a fan of the fantasy shit, but it's not my thing. Like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, that's got some vibes. You know, but Grand Theft Auto 3, I don't know if that has vibes. What I'm trying to say? Like I don't know where. I think GTA 4 has vibes, but they're just not my vibes. You know what I mean? It has vibes. It tries to do something distinct. GTA 5 does not have many vibes. That's what I'm trying to say. There's like because GTA 5 does not try to engage in a particular aesthetic. It tries to engage in realism, and 2013 realism is just like not what people are looking for at this point. I mean, at this point, it's probably like retro. It's like it's like whoa, like Kendrick Lamar just came out with Good Kid, Mad City. Holy shit! Don't you like Schoolboy Q? This new guy Drake coming out with a new album. Isn't that cool? Like, it's like it's different. I think, but it works in retrospect maybe. But like, just the vibes. It's like that's why I'm like thinking about. I don't know. It just makes no sense. I'm just trying to ramble about something that makes no sense. This is why you make art because you know something that you try to communicate verbally and it doesn't work. You have to communicate through some kind of other medium, and usually, I mean, that's the gist of it. It's like the whole point of art is just understanding and communication, right? And I think the loss of community is one of the issues with art today. So you can't have anyone say, I get you. I understand what you're trying to convey. I feel you. That's the best feeling in the world. I feel what you're going for. That's raw. That's cool. It's like, and that's why I'm thinking. I'm like, that's why I'm just trying to say like the most random games you gotta try out because if you think a game's interesting and it's like you have access to it very easily, I'm saying try it out. Or like if you think a movie's interesting, try it out. Like you can't just like say, oh, I'm gonna put it on my watch later list. You just gotta like, cause you can't just have a backlog. You know what I mean? You just play what you feel. You know what I mean? We're emotional creatures. I'm tired of pretending we're not. We're not logical. Like if you look at anything political, we're not logical. We're not logical at all. Like at all. We just make no fucking sense. Love isn't logical. Love never is logical. If I say if I love somebody and I'm I'm trying to make logic into it. I'm like, it'll always lose out against how I feel because my stomach feels that shit. My soul feels that shit. You know what I mean? Not my brain. My brain thinks about a lot of stuff, but I just gotta like, I feel different things. That's the issue. There's an issue with it's been a benefit, but it's the gist of it. You know what I mean? I don't know how to describe it. Maybe I'm an idiot. But if I'm an idiot, I'm an emotional idiot. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with being an emotional idiot. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that the gist is that you gotta just like really think about something sometimes, because we spend all this time just like not think about something. You gotta like feel something sometimes, and think about it, I guess. But I'm saying, we spend a lot of time on autopilot. We spend a ton of time on autopilot, right? We're just like just doing shit, and if you don't have that experience once in a while where you're just like, holy shit, this is amazing, then you'll kind of lose the plot, basically. Because if you have no excitement, nothing to look forward to in your life, then what are you living for? You know what I mean? What are you doing? It's kind of an existential thing. But I gotta ask myself this occasionally. It's like, what do I do it for? Why do I do it? And, the thing is about it is I didn't realize, but a lot of people don't even think about it, Sometimes you just gotta like tell like somebody, ask them like, like what are you doing? Why do you do the things you do? What are you doing it for? And they won't be able to give you an answer. And I wasn't able to give someone an answer for a while either. It's like what do I live for? It's basically like I don't know. I like stuff. I like making stuff. I like talking to people. That's the gist of it. And it's like, it's not always like a existential meaning thing, but essentially it's just like the matter of if you want to just like enjoy, if you let yourself free and let yourself enjoy something, right? That's the gist of it, Like, I think we're past the era of angry reviewers. We're in the era of like random quote tweets. No, I'm joking. Like people just like go and find whatever shit you make and dunk on it for no reason. And it's like that used to be in like the DeviantArt days or whatever. People used to make like videos about like some random person's art and be like, oh, this ass art. This person's Sonic OCs. Be ashamed of your Sonic OCs. Ew, cringe. You like Sonic X Shadow? Well, cringe. And all the like the 5-year-olds, like all the 10-year-olds, like yeah, cringe, because they don't know any better. And now they're growing up, they're like, yeah, cringe. And then they're like, looking up their life. They're just like sitting in their room. They're like looking at their hands. Their hands are dry as shit. Their lips are dry. Licking your lips. Don't lick your lips. Go drink some water. God damn it. Go drink some water. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but the gist of it is that if you try to genuinely engage with something as simple as Sega bass fishing, right? Then you get some joy out of your life. You know what I mean? And I know some people get joy out of like, no, I can't imagine someone gets joy out of League of Legends. I just genuinely can't imagine that. I know someone gets a joy out of like Street Fighter 6, right? Great game. Well, I didn't play Street Fighter 6 that much. I played a little bit of it. I was like, that's pretty fun. Um, so I guess, yeah, the gist of it is that, you know, really try, like, engage with the community, you know, really try to push like to the limit, you know. If you really like this game, you really play it every day, all day, every day, you know, try and just like, you know, meet other people, make your experience as fun, depthful as possible, you know. It's the gist of it, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to play, if you want to like, that's why people make fan art. But the gist of it is that, you know, engage with something deeper, I guess. I don't know. That's the gist of it. Get something deeper. Don't just like, you know, think about it because it's topical, or just because it's, you know, what you see in front of you. But engage with it because it's what you like and what you want to see out of the world and out of life, I guess. I don't know. It's like I'm rambling, mumbling. But, you know, and especially because, you know, even if you don't make YouTube videos for the views, you still have to see the views. So it's like, you know, no matter what you say, it feels like you're saying it wrong. Because if you don't do Mr. Beast type shit or whatever, which is just like the latest in a long span of, you know, I think the historical thing is that if you look as far as you look back, we only remember the great art, but there is so much art that was like the lowest common denominator shit in art history, right? Because it wants to appeal to everybody for like the money or whatever. And people don't remember that. And they always say, oh, this art's so bad now. It used to be so much better. Not knowing that they forgot about Vanilla Ice. They forgot about him. Um, you know? Like you have to be a historian to uncover the genuinely bad shit. And I have to say this out loud because it just bothers me. But YouTube is so hard to like be a historian in because, you know, if I want to look up like old YouTube videos, you have to be super specific with your search because YouTube search is just deteriorated that bad. You know what I mean? Like it'd probably be easier to look at fucking old forums than to like go on YouTube and like try to search an old video. You know what I mean? Like it's very terrible right now. But I think the gist of it is that, um, you know, I don't know. I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Doesn't matter. I'm just rambling. I just felt like I need to make a video about like how you have to not even engage with art in general, but just engage with art that's like depthful. I think I keep saying the same thing because I genuinely do believe it, and I just keep want something I have to say to myself because, you know, it's like a cope. It's a prayer. It's like also it's so funny. A cope and a prayer are the same thing, but a prayer is like it's considered different because you're praying to God to help you instead of just like rambling it to yourself. But I don't know what I'm saying. Basically, I really don't know what I'm saying. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Basically, if you engage with something and you stop scrolling on your fucking phone and gurking your glurking, then you'll probably get something out of it, even if it's kind of shitty. Because even the shitty things is even I think shitty things made with passion, even if it even if it doesn't come out right, you could see like you get something inspired by basically. And I'll keep saying this same thing because it's such an important foundational aspect of what I think about arts and like like what you people is important. You know what I mean? That's the gist of it. So I don't know. I don't know what to even like consider in terms of like just kind of like I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know what I'm doing. But the gist of it is that if you make something, then you get inspired by stuff. You get inspired by stuff. Cool. By the way, Final Fantasy VII is on sale right now on Steam. You shouldn't buy. I think you shouldn't buy it on Steam. I think the PS1 version is probably better. But some people like playing their games on PC officially or whatever, or like on Switch. You should play it. You should play it somehow though. I love that game. You play it again. You should replay stuff too. This is a very okay. Might as well say this because I'm already rambling for an hour. I think this is part of it. People should replay stuff. People don't replay stuff anymore, and I think it's kind of sad because like real game players replay stuff all the time. I'm not gonna replaying games. I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna encourage everybody to replay games because the gist of it is that some games don't hit as the same the first time. You know how many times I've replayed Cave Story? I think it's like 10 or something. Like I played it like a lot, right? Not only because it just got value out of it, but I think the gist of it is that that game like it makes you feel stuff that you won't feel from any other game because of just like the unique permutations of like what it could like what the artistic like what it does artistically, right? And especially because RPGs, that's why my favorite genre is RPGs that like they have not only great stories, but they have like gameplay that's depthful and like characters that you like and a lot of like aesthetic elements that come together and make an engaging world, right? And once you come back to that world and as a different person, it just feels different, right? I was saying this like before, like to someone, 'cause I talk to people about video games a lot because I'm an idiot. Um, but I was thinking about like how I'm replaying the Thousand Year Door. I'm chapter like 6 now, right? Possibly Heights, and I've been enjoying that game a lot because I'm just realizing like how like amazingly depthful that game is. Not just because like they mean like the bad system is actually generally depthful, right? And the party system's pretty great. But I'm saying depthful in terms of like the environmental design is like really like really impressed me. Genuinely just incredible environmental design. Absolutely banger. Like chapter 2, the Bogley tree is one of the greatest fucking like aesthetic places of all time. Like the Bogley Woods, or like a lot of the Super Paper Mario stuff too. Like a lot of the Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, and all that stuff. Um, the old Paper Mario stuff. People why talk about that's the old Paper Mario stuff. An underrated aspect is that the people say the partners are great. I love partners, but the underrated aspect is the environmental design was such a much more creative because it's like they what's it called? The environmental language, the environmental design of like chapter 2 in particular is right so great because it is like the tier of an indie game that's like a critically acclaimed indie game, but for one section of the game, basically. Like the like the tree itself is like it has me near tears listening to the original version because it's like one of those calming areas that you don't think about until you replay it. It's like this is one Mario Galaxy level where it's like the slimy spring galaxy, right? And it's just the perfect vibe because you go into this random galaxy, random cave, and it's like kind of weird, just out of nowhere, just like in the middle, like before the final level, you're just like in this like random cave, right? And you do that, and you have to go through the level, and you're in this underwater level the entire time. It's pretty good, and by the end, you have this like waterfall, basically. It's a waterfall, and the gist of it is that that entire thing, it tells a story through its environmental design because it's like one of those things where it's like you go through the depths and you come out on top, basically. Very simple story, right? very simple hero journey. But telling that through just a random Mario level just really hits different, especially with the calming ambient music and having the context of it being the final level, right? And it really stuck out in my mind because I would just sit there for hours and just think about that level because I don't know, I'm a very sensitive person. I've always been a very sensitive person. So I don't want to talk to nobody because I'm very sensitive. I'm very very sensitive. Sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm not allowed to be sensitive on the internet um because if you're genuine and vulnerable on the internet, you'll get fucking stabbed 17,000 times and shot and pissed on. Get the fuck down, and then send like that shit, right? And then like that kind of stuff. Like in Thousand Year Door, it's that kind of thing where it's like you have this super. The comparison. I made a comparison where I played Thousand Year Door and Pokemon like Diamond Pearl Platinum or whatever as a kid, right? And I played a lot more of Pokemon Diamond Pearl Platinum, right? And of course, I said I have a Pokemon Brilliant Diamond on Switch because it's like I just had extra money when I bought it, I guess. I don't know. It's one of those games where I just really was curious. It was killing me. I bought it used, so Nintendo doesn't get any of my shit though. I think. I don't know. Maybe GameStop gives Nintendo shit based on used copies, but they probably don't. But either way, um, I bought it and I was like playing it. And I was very depressed about it. I don't know. But the thing about it is that the game, it's like it's pretty. It's people don't want to admit this, but it is pretty reliable to Diamond Pro Platinum. It is basically just Diamond Pro and Platinum. But the issue is that it's Diamond Pro, not Diamond Pro Platinum. It's just Diamond and Pearl. Platinum is, but the issue is that Platinum is such a better game in terms of like the like moment to moment gameplay that is actually insulting. Like Diamond and Pearl is like a fucking C and Platinum's an S. It literally is like that much better. Um, like yeah, it's kind of it very much sucks. But you know, I thought like you know at least a little bit of the aesthetic elements would get me back right because of the nostalgic elements, right? And I'm thinking about it. I'm like the remake of Thousand Year Door isn't even like I switched back to the original music, right? So it's like one of those kind of things. It's like I think the only thing that would make me feel those emotions again is literally hearing the same context, like having the same context with it that it was. Because if I because replaying the like Thousand Year Door, the whole point is that I'm so roundabout about the way I say stuff because I'm so sorry. But what I'm getting at is that Thousand Year Door, I replayed it and I saw more depth. I saw more stuff to enjoy than I initially thought. I appreciated like everything about this game. I fucking love this game. Like before, I thought it was pretty great, but now I think it's like probably one of my favorite games I've ever played. It's genuinely like one of the greatest games of all time. I like it is literally like it is so good that it makes me angry. It is so good that it makes me genuinely pissed that Nintendo just doesn't lock in that often. I know it's like one of the greatest games of all time. You know, they can make that like every once in a while, but I think they like fumbled so many times through just like random bullshit. That when they lock in, it actually is insulting that they can't do this more often, basically. Because and it also is insulting that Nintendo keeps their like staff members not secret, but they don't really talk about it much because you know I want to see the writers of this thing. I want to see the translators or the writers of Thousand Year Door. I need to talk to them. I need them. I need them. I would buy a book by them because their writing style is just like so distinctive and funny, and so you know so much soul, right? And I play Brilliant Diamond, which uses basically ostensibly the same goddamn script verbatim as the old games, which is, you know, I think Thousand Year Door uses most of the same script too. But the thing about I'm noticing is not only that it has, you know, the remake is bad because there's no like quality of life improvements. The quality of life improvements it does have are just very, very minor. Like I do like you can kind of still do 2D movement. That's kind of cool. I think that actually will make me play through the game. I don't know why it's such a big thing to me, but it's very cool. Using the D-pad on games just feels better. But like it's not only but it's also that the game just like I'm playing it and it's like it was great when you're like super young, right? But when you get older, it's like it doesn't have anything to chew on. That's why people are so like you pay attention to the Gen 4 memes, which is fucking terrible. The Pokemon quote unquote community, and they talk about just like certain things. They don't talk about like they talk about the aesthetic elements when it comes to certain areas, right? You talk about the national park all the time. Like, oh, I'm so nostalgic, and it's a great area. I love the national park. It's great stuff. And let's talk about the gameplay in terms of like challenge modes or whatever. But a lot of Pokemon is that it doesn't have. It's not even that Pokemon is designed for like super young kids because Thousand Year Door is designed for super young kids, but it's that it doesn't give you any kind of like depthful challenge, even though Pokemon is a extremely depthful game on its base level, because it literally is like ultra chess where it has like literally hundreds of thousands of combinations you could have, but the issue is that they don't give you the game progresses in such a linear way, in such a formulaic way, and it just makes sense to have certain Pokemon that you see those memes. It's always, everyone has the starter. They have Luxray, they have Lucario if they can get them. They always have. I use Roserade all the time because it just made sense to have a grass type. It just makes sense to have a certain combination of types, right? But in Paper Mario, I mean, most of the time people have the same 5 badges. I'll admit they have like the cool like peril badges if they're doing a speed run. They have like Fire Drive, or they have like Quake Hammer. They have like fucking Super Bounce. It's like they still have the same loadouts, but you have so many more options that are viable, that it just feels like, it makes sense to use other types of things. And not only that, but the writing of the game of Paper Mario has more depth because at the very least, Paper Mario is about simplicity. It's not about like, complexity basically. It's like, it's like the polar opposite of like a saga game where in a saga game you have like this opaque weird like fighting style and like level style, right? In Paper Mario it's pretty obvious like what you can do and what it's like your level up system is like it gives you 9 experience points, which is I just has very low numbers of experience points, and it's like you can only level up one of your things for your build. And I think it's so funny because you can have a build that's super. When I was a kid, I had a build that was fucking terrible. I only leveled up HP because I didn't know like I didn't know what badge points did. I was like, I don't know. I just want. So I literally used no badges the entire fucking time that I played through the game when I was younger, right? Used no badges. And I'm replaying it. I was like, damn, I was a dumbass kid. But also, I played through the entire game with no badges. Like, you gotta realize, that is hard as shit. Like, I had like 50 HP and I had 5 fucking flower points. So I was sitting at the final boss for a damn near hour. I was like, wow, this is actually way different than when I was a kid. But if I play Pokemon Platinum or Pokemon, I mean, even Platinum, but Diamond and Pearl specifically, I'm like, I have the same loadout as when I was a kid because even though the movesets are different, like I'm using fucking Earthquake, obviously, like, or sometimes I'm using like, status moves, Swagger is completely useless to me now, but the whole thing is that it makes just like the optimization is just so obvious to even a kid for like those games that it just makes no sense to use any other Pokemon. And I can't force myself to do it because the Pokemon who are not good like are so fucking bad that you would never want to use them in a million years, or they have like trade evolutions or something. Like what if I want to use Golem, right? And I can't use Golem because I have to use Graveler. I'm like, why the fuck would I use Graveler if I could use like some other, like if I could use Hippowdon or something? And why do I use Hippowdon if there's like another Pokemon that's like stronger instead? You know what I mean? Like it just makes no sense. Especially because I get all my Pokemon in the early game. It just makes no sense. It just makes no sense. So basically, like what I'm saying is that you look back at a game. And I think replay. This is why I'm saying replaying games is important because you look at you. First of all, RPGs feel better to replay than a lot of other genres. So I have to admit that. But a lot of other genres have like simple replay things too. Like I could play Mega Man 2. I played that like 10 times at this point too. It's just very like fun to just go and pop through that game and then finish it in like a day or something. It's fun. But if you want to engage with the game deeper, there's nothing wrong with replaying, right? I think there's a lot of rush. People have just like rush to like go through every game all the time. And I mean, I'll admit there are a lot of games that I just have like all the time. I have just like infinite amount of games, and I genuinely just I think I just need to like let go and give up on the idea that I'll ever quote unquote finish my Steam library, right? I think I will die, and hopefully I leave my code, my Steam password and thing, I leave it for the next person, because apparently you can't transfer that to the next person on, and that actually brings me genuine existential fear. It's like other people pass down their house and worry about funeral cost, uh, I want to get what's it called, cremated. So basically, is that the whole issue is that I'm worried about passing down my fucking Steam library because that's the most important thing to me. Because it's just like you have it's not only the games themselves, which are are probably worth a good amount of money because it's like the sheer amount of them. I buy them cheap, but it's like the sheer amount of games. You just probably worth a lot of money. It's like years and built up cost, right? It's not only that. I mean, honestly, I think the amount of games I have on Steam is probably like the equivalent of just 1 month's rent. So that's funny. Not even 1 month's rent. Oh my god. Oh my god. I hate it here. But damn, not even 1 month. Not even 1 month's rent. But basically, like, it's the curation of it. Like, I think the thing about it is that the games I enjoy, the games that I download, the games that I like, and like I play it a lot. They're a sign of who I am. They're just like, if you look at my Steam library, you get like an idea of who I am. I played a lot of Guilty Gear, played a lot of Sonic Mania, played a lot of Hat in Time, played a lot of Valhalla. I want to replay that game. Should replay that game. Like, you know, you get a good idea of who I am as a person via the games that I've enjoyed, right? Because especially because games are like such a foundational part of how I see the world. It's just like so important to me, right? And it's like if you have something that's that important to you, you kind of worry about like how it will be after you die. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking of. But the gist of it is that I'm saying like a game will get better on the replay because you have just different context, and I think more people should replay games and more people should play games with an ending. That's a big deal to me too, because a lot of people just only play multiplayer games, and I'm like, I love multiplayer games. I love Guilty Gear, play a little bit of Fortnite. I can play. I should play some Quake with somebody. Doesn't matter. But I love fighting games mostly, and but I think about it is like, you know, I think it's kind of like weird because we're back in the arcade era, but we're in the arcade era with like worse profit margins or whatever, worse wider details basically. Um, but the gist of it is that excuse me, the gist of it. Sorry. The basically it's that if you play a game, it should have not. It doesn't always have to have finished, but if you don't, it doesn't have a finish. You don't have any closure, so you just play a game forever, and then somebody just stop playing it, and it's like, okay, well, that was fun. But if you play a game with a finish, and even if you hated it, you're like, you at least have a sense of closure, right? Because it's just like a game that you like completed, a game that you finished, like that's the gist of it. You have to like have once in a, and that's rounds it back to the issue. I think the conversations that we have, not conversations, the me talking at you that you listen to sometimes, maybe, who cares, is that you know, after a certain point, if you don't have a game with a finish, then you just won't have a sense of closure, and you don't know, like, because storylines need to end. Storylines have to end. That's part of art. If art doesn't end, it doesn't. Okay, well, okay. There's art pieces, like art experiences that don't end. There's like that one thing. There's like one thing. This one dude who made this giant bell that will literally outlast the Earth. That will ring one tone for like every billion years, like one tone every fucking 25,000 years or something, right? And it will repeat until the end of like time, or until the fucking bell breaks or something, right? That's one thing, right? But for a story like with art with a storyline, like it's gonna end eventually because all things end eventually. I think that you could have a giant super ultra big story, right? Like a super ultra fan fiction that people write a lot of time, but eventually it just has to end, and without that ending you just don't have that effect, because like Homestuck. I hear people talk about the end of Homestuck a lot. I watched a video on it. It's that you have to have a resolution, not even a satisfying one, but a resolution nonetheless, or else you won't have, like, the story doesn't feel complete. Basically, this is a big deal to me. That's why I like RPGs. That's why I like games like Mega Man Zero. because I remember so vividly. Like the game just has the whole saga, four game saga. Those games were hard. I played it on easy mode though. I'm still playing easy mode. I don't give a shit. But I'm saying they have such a good way of storytelling that no other Mega Man. I'm saying actually, it's not an old no other Mega Man. A lot of the other Mega Man games do story pretty well. Like, I haven't played through Mega Man Legends all the way through, but Mega Man Legends 2, pretty nice story. I love the way that style. I just love that game. It's great. I want them to port it or remake it or something. Like they're just ignoring it for some reason. I don't know why, but you know, like Mega Man initially was actually a pretty story based game relative to like the 8-bit era, but in all things, it always was a pretty formulaic story. You know, all the Mega Man games. Oh, Dr. Wily's doing it again, and then he stopped him, yippee, and that's the entire thing with the game, right? And then they have like Sigma, which I can't speak on because I haven't played all the Mega Man X games. I mean, I guess yeah, X games, the equally. So it's just like, I have to go and look at the story of Mega Man X again, but you know all in all, Mega Man Zero just like actually like takes the story to where I assume like where it was implying in the first place. Because like if the first game is Astro Boy, the Mega Man series is Astro Boy, then the last one is like a lot of Osamu Tezuka's other stuff. Osamu Tezuka, because Tezuka has a fuck ton of like manga, and like I guess Mega Man does have like some serious. I mean, let's go. I guess Astro would have some serious stuff. Yeah, if so, I guess it'd probably be like Phoenix, maybe. Yeah, maybe not that ambitious. Blackjack, maybe. Yeah, that's whatever. Like one of those other manga that were more serious, basically, and can tell a more like I don't know. I have to read Astro Boy. Maybe I'm underrating how serious the story went. But I thought that Astro Boy was just like kind of one of those like episodic formulaic kind of things. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, but basically you just have to have some of the resolution, and you have to I think be a writer sometimes. I'm not good at writing. I've been drawing a lot though. I've been drawing a lot. I love drawing. Drawing's fun. Whenever you don't got a bitch telling your ear that it sucks. Like the gist of it is that sometimes you just needed like a push to to do it, to like have a reason that I want to draw. And I guess it goes back to the beginning, because the reason that I wanted to draw is because I see a lot of artists with their hot OCs and their ass out, and I'm like, damn, I want to draw my OC with her ass out. So I guess in general, it goes back to the start where you can get inspired by Twitter. After all, just don't get only inspired by Twitter. And that's a good way to leave it off, because I think having a resolution like that is not going to happen often with these rambly type videos. So I got to take it where I can get it. But basically, thank you for watching this ramble. I hope it made some kind of point, but it doesn't matter because I'm not gonna watch. I'm gonna read your fucking comments anyway. Who gives a shit? No one gives a shit. Who gives a shit? I don't think I give a shit. I don't give a shit. Do you give a shit? I don't even care. Do you even? I don't even give a shit. I don't really